Hi guys, welcome back to Isha Podcast. If you're wondering what Isha is about, Isha is basically where we talk about tech and non-tech and maybe a bit of problems in Nigeria. And my name is Temitope Sharon, but you can call me TS. And today I have Amira with me. Hi Amira.
Hello, TS. Good
Yeah, I
morning.
am
How are
fine.
you?
How have you been? Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm great.
Cool. Let's play a game. So I have a game for us to play. I have three questions, and you basically just have to answer them. So the first one is education equality. What are effective strategies to provide equal access to quality education across different socio-economic backgrounds, particularly in remote or underprivileged areas?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I think I like that. And well, over the years, education quality has been reducing, and I can only speak for Nigerians and places where they're actually underserved, right? So I think um government, I'll still go back to the government. Government needs to do their best and try as much as possible to make sure that education is accessible to everyone. And as much as maybe government is doing that, for instance, I saw a news this morning where they said school fee for I think public schools and I've not gone from 35K to 100K in Lagos State, and I was like, wow. So how do they expect people where they can't even pay 35K actually to actually pay 100K, right? So I mean, I don't know. Government has to do something in making sure education is more accessible to each and every one, right? And I also think non-profits are doing their best because I know a lot of non-profits that are in that particular sector, and then they go out to help these kids, provide them, resources, books, bags, and the little things they need to help them, like go from one point to another. So basically, education sector in Nigeria is just worse, but
Mm-hmm.
hopefully to get better, maybe education
Yeah.
reforms by the government or
Yeah, I'm definitely open for it to get better because I was watching a video a couple of days back and it was filled with kids, right? And I was just saying, like, what is the future of all these children, even the children that are not born yet? Like, what is the future? Like, if I was to ask them, like, what would you like to become when you grow up? Like, I don't think they will be able to give me an answer. And yeah, like the government still have a long way to go in terms of making education accessible, even free. But let's not talk about that today. So my last question is mental health awareness. How can society remove the stigma on mental health issues and ensure that mental health services are accessible and affordable at all times?
hmm. This issue of mental or no mental health. I think okay, I'm still going to come to your question, but I think a lot of people are really misusing the whole mental health stuff. Right? There's so many people that are not that don't have mental health issues, and then they claim, oh, mentally I'm drained, I'm having depression. But where you're actually at is probably your stress, and then you're not even having any mental issues. So when people that have the actual mental issues, when they come out and say
Hmm.
they have this, we don't really take them serious because everybody just throw the word, everywhere. Everybody use the word anyhow. Now, for people that actually have mental health issues, I think there are services in Nigeria currently, thanks to a lot of healthcare startup, especially in the mental health space. I think I know a couple of some that actually make their services affordable. And when I say affordable, I was coming across one Instagram ad. I've forgotten their name actually. So I was talking about their mental health service for as low as 6K or 6.5 or something like that. So though there might not be much in the space right now, but I know a couple of them that render mental health services for
Hmm.
something affordable, actually. Not about free, but maybe there's some probably NGOs that are doing this for free and all of that. But I think, um, yeah, I just think that you can still get some affordable, and I think you can probably help yourself a little too. right? Probably before it gets to that stage. Of course, I'm not in that stage, so I don't really know how it feels. Right, the stage I've been in probably depression now. Until it's like get out, I just need to change my
Mm-hmm.
environment and all of that. So I think self help also matters, right? Before you get to that stage of mental health drain, blah blah blah. I think you really need to know how to help yourself get out of stress or anything that is causing that particular issue, right? Before you get to that level of there's a saying that prevention is better
Yeah.
than cure, obviously. So before you get to that level where you have to start looking for money that you don't have, money that you also used to eat and take a rest or
Mm-hmm.
anything to cure mental health problems. I'm sure. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's what I
I
think.
completely agree with you. I mean, mental health is not is a quite is a sensitive topic because there are different layers. I would say layers to it, or like elements, and I think, yeah, like especially people just throwing the words around like mental health when other people are really battling with depression, anxiety, even not even want to step out of the house just because of that, and even having to maybe at a workplace, people are not even understanding why people hold back, etc. I think we still have like a long way to go, and I will look for those mental health. I'll probably catch up with you later to get like the links or like the names of this organization, and anyone that wants to look into it, or if you feel like it's best for you as well to receive the services, just make sure you click on the description. The link in the description. Lol. Okay, speaking about money, right? So our topic actually is navigating learning tech in Nigeria. So how do you navigate learning tech in Nigeria and then building a career or choosing a career path and going to tech schools, etc. So we're going to start with learning tech because obviously that's the foundation before even choosing a career, etc., or choosing a tech school to learn from. So what is your take on learning a tech skill or just learning tech in general?
Okay. Trust me. Learning tech in Nigeria currently, uh, it's okay. I don't even know where to start from because it's crazy how everybody wants to
Mm,
come into tech, but not how everyone
yeah.
wants to put in the work, right? There are so many problems when it comes to learning tech. Trust me, if you still want to come into the tech system, you're free. You have every right to. You can always be in the tech ecosystem. But the question that a lot of people do not ask themselves is if they are willing to put in the work. And the problem to that is, I think the way probably lots of tech
Mm,
content creators preach the or preach the
mm,
whole tech thing. Number two is people don't see tech for like, oh, this is work. People see it as like, oh, if I'm seeing a picture of someone on Twitter, if I'm seeing a deck space, I'm seeing luxury. So people think, oh, when I come into tech, I'll just be working remotely and I'll be on my decks. I have this deck setup that is very nice and cool and all of that. So even if you are not interacting with tech content creators, the way you interpret things actually matters. And a lot of people just interpret things like, oh, tech is a luxury
mm,
space and I want to get into it. Number three, a lot of people do not even know that whatever you want to do and achieve something out of it, you have to put in work, right? A lot of people don't know that, probably because they've not like probably gone through
yeah.
life itself. So that life is hard. So anything you're putting your um anything you want something good out of it, you have to put your money. So there are just a lot of problems. Um, when it comes to
Mm,
learning tech, right? But yeah, I think that's like they are the three problems. Now, when you start learning the tech, of course, you have many issues, right? Depending on who you are, depending on the situation, depending on, let me say, your environment, right? So a lot of situations, so probably you getting overwhelmed, the imposter syndrome, um, you not
mm,
understanding what you're learning, you feeling like you need to do more every time, of course, continuous learning and all of that. But the truth is, you can always learn a tech skill. That's the truth. You can always learn a tech skill, you can always get better with it, and then you can earn money. But you need to put in the work, you need to show up every day. um yeah, so consistency, commitment. Without that, you're not getting anywhere. And it's not just about tech;
Doing
it's
life,
about
yeah.
anything you want to do in life, right? So, yeah, that's that about learning
So
a new
that
skill.
actually took me back to when I first got introduced into tech. I think this was like around 2022. I didn't know like what word, like what tech is. I was just hearing tech. I don't even know how I found myself in that space. It was kind of like random. So from there, like I saw this boot camp. They were doing Python, so it was like a free boot camp, and I was just like, oh, okay, Python, like everyone is talking about tech, like let me to learn Python. So I took up the course. I was working part time as well. So I was just like, it was evening class. So the time was already clashing with my part time work. So I was just like, okay, I did 1 week. It was cool. I did 2 weeks. But in that week, I was barely in the any of the live classes for we have to be there like 3 times in a week. I was only there like once a week. And if I was there once a week, I probably spent like 30 minutes out of 1 hour and 30 minutes, right? And then I was just like, you know what? Learning Python is not for me. Let me just put it to the side, forget about it, and that's it. And then another course, and then I stumbled across cloud practitioner. And then I was like, ooh, like the skill, the word, the you know the name around it was given to me. So I was just like, you know what? Let me that tap in. So I tapped in, and there was a lot of people in the group, which basically just turned me off. And I was like, oh, like how am I going to learn. So like for me, I didn't really do my own research. I just stumbled across it and I was just like, yeah, like it sounds good, go into it. So that's what I did. And then I left it to the side and then I heard about solution architect. Then I went into solution architect with the same mentality I went with Python, cloud practitioner, and solution architect. Then I did nothing in that solution architect. I think I got enrolled like twice. At some point, I felt like I was wasting the time, etc. And the classes was in America, so I have to join in remotely. And then it's like midnight here in the UK, so I was just like, there's no point. And then I went into data. I think this year I went into data. I don't think I completed the introduction course. I'm still stuck on there. So I just deleted the Slack channel and I was just like, learning a skill might is not actually for me. I think I prefer being practical and just learning on the go, like whatever I'm going to learn or whatever career I'm going to build, it's best for me to sit down, work, and then just learn on a go. And I think most people going into learning a skill or when they see like on Twitter content creator posting like the desktop etc and how much money they make today, they feel in between is like, oh, someone is drawing me close to this direction, but they're not really trying to figure out their own direction in the way that they should go. So speaking about my journey in learning tech, which I don't think I've picked up like a particular skill. Like I know people doing coding, product design, data, etc. But I feel like for me, I'm much suited in the leadership role instead of like learning the skill. But then at the same time, even though I am suited in the leadership role, I saw that I might need a basic understanding in all these particular areas for me to be able to lead better, even if I want to be a leader in tech. But we're not going to go into that now. But I do want to ask if people are learning in tech, do you think it's best for them to explore all the option or research a particular option?
No, I think it's quite
Mm,
dependent on the person, right? So I'm going to use myself as an example and probably other people I've seen coming to the tech space, right? So for me, as an instance, right, I already have like a background in design, right? So before I like got into tech proper as a product designer, I already have a background in using what you see is what you get website. So website like Shopify, Beats, I use them to design basic websites actually for people when I was still freelancing. So it was just natural for me to just go into
Mhm.
UI UX design because I already have a basic understanding of design and all of that. Now, there's nothing wrong with exploring your options, right? Because there are a lot of options actually. There are a lot. So like I said, it's quite dependent on you. If you want to explore options, you really have to be serious with it, right? So let's say you don't know what to do and then you want to come into tech and you feel like, okay, there's a lot of options and there are a lot of
Yeah.
things you really like doing. You need to probably create a plan for yourself and say, okay, I'm going to explore for like 6 months, right? And maybe you're going to dedicate probably 1 month. I don't know the number of course tech careers you want to explore. So let's say three, and maybe you're going to dedicate probably two into each, or you're going to learn um all of them simultaneously, depending on how you want to do it, right? But then at the end of the day, you must be able to pick one tech career out of the three you've explored because I feel like wasting 6 months to explore and at the end of the day you don't I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be judgy here, but you don't pick one after 6 months. So what's the point
Mm.
of your exploration? Right. At the same time, if you don't want to explore, it's best to research. Even if you want to explore, you have to research
Yeah.
whatever you're exploring, right? Especially something being to, right? So on the other hand, you want to like start your research and learn more about, these tech courses. You might want to read good blogs about, these tech careers and understand what they do and also consider your own personal interest and your own strength likewise, right? So of course, if you don't have any you don't like designing, there's probably nothing you're
Yeah.
looking for in design actually. Or if you know you actually like probably planning something, managing something, you probably want to think towards management, product or project management as it is, right? So consider your own personal interest. What do you like doing? And at the same time, make your research, right? And then if you say, oh, you don't like doing anything. I'm not sure there'll be that case, but sincerely, maybe you probably need to talk to someone who knows you personally and who is able to tell you, oh, these are the things I think you like doing, right? And then from there, when you hear people talk about you or what they think you are good at, then you can probably narrow it down. Now, if you now feel like you don't have any person to talk to, you don't know what you like doing, then you might not go into that exploration phase and explore for a certain number of months. But it takes dedication to really say, "Oh, I'm exploring." Because a lot of people, when you're doing three things, it's more or less like I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing anything in my own do because you are everywhere. Of course, I know it's three things you're exploring, but at the same time, your energy is not into one thing. So if you're exploring, make sure you're dedicated to it and be able to like say, "Oh, at the end of my exploration, this is what I want to do," so that it won't be a waste of time and
Yeah.
all of that. So that's that.
I guess also don't be like me, like skill upping. You know how people like job hop, like doing skill hop. So even if like something sounds fancy from the get go, or like a particular skill sounds like the grossing the highest earning income that you could ever earn, like still do your research about it, see whether your current skill and your current knowledge can you can merge them two together, and that's where researching and exploration comes into place as well. I do want to ask you, like, how did you stumble across product design?
Okay, so like I said earlier, I have a background in
Mm-hmm.
website design, right? Yeah. Also, I think it's important to
Yeah.
have good friends around you, friends that actually want you to, get better at things and improve. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and then he introduced me to someone, and you know, um, the person held the UX design class, right? So that was how like my journey in tech began. Of course, I've heard of UX design, funny enough, early, but the problem is, which is another problem in the space. The problem was that I think I was
Mm-hmm.
lazy. I'll be sincere right now. I think I was lazy and I was scared because what I was doing at that moment
Mm-hmm.
was bringing me money, right? And I did talked about this on the shares Twitter space yesterday. Like, how do you combine when you're making money with something and you want to learn it test? It's really hard making that decision, right? And it's one thing to make that decision, it's one thing to be committed to that decision, right? So it was really hard for me because I was already making money. So I was like, why should I be learning UX design? But the truth is, deep down, I know that the skill I have is not
Mm-hmm.
good enough, right? Kind of money I
Yeah.
really wanted to make, right? So in order to make that kind of money I wanted to make, I need to improve my skill. So it's a two-way thing. Now, the problem I was having was, oh, I'm too lazy, number one. Number two, I'm like, if I'm to start learning something, I'm probably going to make money again, which is very correct because I'm a kind of committed person. Once my mind is somewhere, my mind is somewhere, and it's just hard for me to like two things together and move on with it. It's really hard for me to do that, right? So when I started the class, it was a physical class. Thank God for that, and I think that
Yeah.
really helped me because physical class, right? Also, knowing yourself is very important. If you know you cannot thrive, especially when it comes to these add-on skills like these skills that are a bit technical, you know you need someone to hold you accountable. Please
Mm.
get someone to hold you accountable. Right? Just like in your case, I didn't think you have someone you're accountable to. Maybe it should have been easier. Maybe you would have stayed in one, place and not jump from solution
Mhm.
architect to cybersecurity and
Uh,
all of that. So that the class was physical. I had to go there every day. I had people in the class, so it was more or less like creating positive competition for me. Like, oh, I have to do better at this thing, right? So I think that really helped me in my UI. And then I had to like do UX on mine because the class was like 3 months. So of course the class was not going to be forever. The person did his best and I learned what I needed to learn. However, it's now dependent on me to now keep pushing
mm.
and keep learning, right? After the 3 months. And afterwards, trying to get better at my skills. I took some courses, took some boot camps, and I just kept learning, and I think the only difference between UX design and product design was the fact that I'm able to expose myself to, let me say, the business
Mm.
aspect of a product, being able to like be in a case whereby you see how a product is the ideation to
Yeah.
the whole launch stage, right? That's why I say, yeah, I think I prefer product design to just UX design, but that does not mean I'm saying I'm not a UX designer at the same time. So that was like the whole journey for me. It took physical learning, someone holding me accountable, holding myself accountable. I hate when someone tells me, "Oh, you're not serious at this thing." I really hate that statement, right? So I was like, let's show up, right, so that I won't fumble. And at the end of the 3 months, now I have to now
Yeah.
take it up myself and say, okay, 3 months must not waste, right? I have to see the end of this thing. I have to make money with this thing because I don't like wasting time. So it's more or less like if I don't make something with this thing, I'll keep telling myself, you wasted
Mm-hmm.
this person's time actually, and you also wasted your time. And I have to find a way to put together making money
Yeah.
and learning a tech skill. And it was really, really hard for me. And at the end of the day, I think I dropped whatever was making me money and I was like focus on my tech skill, which actually paid off because sincerely I've grown, not just in technical skills or you know how to do this, you know how to do that on Figma or whatever. Um I think another aspect of my life, right? There's so many soft skills that if I had stayed in that position I
Yeah.
was 2, 3 years back, I would never be better at them. Right. So it's just taking the leap and hoping or
Mm.
putting in the work.
I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. When it's time to take that leap, I think, yeah, you mentioned like I didn't have people around me to like hold me accountable. It's for me like skill hopping or learning a skill and I was hopping from one to another. What if, like, let's say someone, okay, maybe me, none of my friends are in the tech field. So I live in a distance like an hour or two away from all my friends. Like if I was to go on a journey, right, it's kind of far. But having friends that are not interested in tech, and who is there to hold you accountable? For me, there was no one. So obviously, I think if I'm in that situation, I'm guessing there are 50% of other people that are probably in the similar situation as me that don't have friends or family that can hold them accountable to learn a tech skill or a skill in general because there are people that are not these are people that are not in the same industry that I want to venture into, or in the same networking or community that I want to venture into. What would be your advice for anyone that was in my particular position, looking to learn a skill, but there was no one to hold me accountable, or no one like my friends or my family did not have knowledge about how I can go into that particular industry or go into that particular skill.
Mm. Thank you for that. So I think I have a
Mm-hmm.
similar situation, but the good part, I'm lucky enough to have some people in the tech space. So when I was before I got into the tech space, a lot of people that were closer to me were friends or were people that are
Okay.
in the tech space, right? So I just it was just me speaking to this person who was in the tech space and just like held me accountable. Now, if you're in that situation whereby there's no one to hold you accountable, I think there's nothing wrong in reaching
Mm.
out to someone that you do not to hold you accountable. And of course, you can't just write a message and say, "Hey, TS, can you hold me accountable?" Probably TS, or you met TS on LinkedIn, or you just saw TS feed on LinkedIn. You can't just say that. See, of course, it comes from a place of, oh, who is this person? Let's say you want to go into, let's say, cybersecurity or solution architect, whatever it is. You have to now take
Yeah.
an extra step of putting yourself out there, right? And what I mean by that is, looking up people that probably they're already they're good at what they're doing already in this particular space. Let's say cybersecurity as an instance, looking them up on LinkedIn or if it's Instagram, whatever, right? And trying to see how they put themselves out and whatever it is they're doing. And another thing is reaching out to them, right? So when you reach out to them, of course, you can't just tell them, I need you to hold me accountable. There's a process, right? So, hello, hi, I've been following you for a while. I'm looking to get started in this and that and that. And do you can you recommend whatever? Now, they might or might not respond to you. One thing and you also need to do is you should be able to like do the initial work. And what I mean by initial work is make your own research, look for resources, blah blah blah. You probably already started learning, but then you need someone to like hold you accountable. Then you can now reach out to this person and say, "Oh, I've been learning these are resources I've been using, but the truth is I'm having a problem with commitment, and I need someone that can hold me accountable." That way, you are shown that you are already
Yeah.
putting in the work, you're showing a level of commitment because nobody has the time to come and hold you accountable when you
Accountable.
are not
Yeah.
holding yourself
Definitely.
accountable. Right. So you need to show them that this is what I've been doing. If you have some little portfolio or if you have some like probably been putting some things together like documentation on Notion or whatever, you could send it to them as a proof that this is what I've been doing, but I have problem with commitment. You can do that on LinkedIn or whatever. Another place you can do that is very free is ADP list, and it's like my go-to when I also started. So go to ADP list, look for these mentors, right, and book some 30 minutes call with them. You can also book you know, recurring sections with these people. And when you're booking, they tell you to like put down what you're looking to do with this particular person, and then you can make the person understand that this is what I need. And when you have a call with this person, try to make yourself clear and also try to show your commitment, right? Nobody wants to commit to someone that is not serious, right? Show your commitment. And if the person is available to actually hold you accountable, they will make themselves clear. If they are not, that doesn't mean you should ghost. You should leave the person. You can always reach out to the person to
Yeah.
get feedback or whatever. But look for someone who is willing to help, right? And you guys can probably create a plan so that this is the time I check up on you. This is the time I'll review your work, blah blah blah, and all of that. So if you don't have friends or family members, I think the world is quite so much remote that
Mm.
anybody can connect with anybody
Yeah.
in 1 minute. So please go out there and look for someone that can or that is willing to help you. But first and
Yeah,
foremost,
by
help yourself.
taking the first step. Definitely take the first step. Speaking about learning and taking the first step, obviously a lot of people learn skill, right? And I don't want to come for our education system in Nigeria in terms of having basic understanding or basic knowledge, but when people learn the skill, I believe that personally, I believe that people underrate theoretical learning than practical. So what I'm trying to say is people rather go down the practical skills, the practical learning, rather than theoretical. And for me, it's like, oh, like, yeah, as much as you have the practical skills, how would you describe what you're doing or what you're working on to me so that I can understand? Because I'm clearly not a coder, I'm clearly not a DevOps person, I'm clearly not a designer. How would you describe, use the right terminology, even if you're having a conversation with a fellow product designer? Like the terminology matters so that you know, like you're both on the same level. So, do you think people
Yes.
underrate or overrate practical and theoretical learning?
Hmm. I
Yeah.
think it's a two-way thing, right? So, I'm going to use myself as an instance again. I for myself, when I started, like, of course, continuous learning, I used to probably learn a lot of different things, and I just like start off, right? So that's like theoretical learning. And one thing about learning is, or getting knowledge is, you need to be able to apply whatever it is you have learned into something and know that, oh, and probably make your mistakes
Mhm.
and relearn, right? So it's one thing to say, oh, I want to learn this course and then get the certificate. It's another thing to say, oh, I've gained this knowledge. How can I apply it now? It's your job as a person to create opportunities to apply your skill or apply your knowledge, right? So moving from theoretical, do just learn the theory, learn to apply what you have learned and make your mistakes, relearn, unlearn whatever it is you need to do. Now, the place of um doing your work, being practical about your work, and now coming back to explain what it is you have learned to probably let's say your stakeholders. So, for instance, pro designers, front end engineers, and the likes. Of course, you will always have to
Mhm.
explain your work. That is the place of soft skills, right? Which I'll probably also call human skills because it's not soft, it's human. You need to have skills to survive actually, whether in workplace or probably in life generally, right? And that's the place of let's say
Yeah.
communication, collaboration, teamwork. These skills are sometimes overlooked, maybe, right? But I also like the fact that a lot of people are now, shedding more light on human skills and how important it is. Because the truth is, you might be so good at your back end, you might be so good at your front end or UX or Figma, whatever. But then, if you don't know how to communicate what it is I'm having on my screen to me, but you expect me to understand, I'm not a witch, right? You need to be able to explain what it is you have done to me. So that's where communication comes in. You need to be able to like communicate properly, and you also need to be able to know how to communicate to whoever it is
Yeah.
you want to communicate to. So communication have like different mode, right? So if you're communicating to your fellow product designers, you know that okay, this is the right terminology, or are the terminologies or industry jargon that I'll be using. If I'm communicating to someone in the marketing team or someone that does not have any idea of
Mhm.
what front end or back end is, I need to take away the jargon and communicate like I'm talking to a layman in such a way that they'll be able to like
Yeah.
understand you, right? So practical learning is good, theoretical learning is good. Now turn it to practical, apply these skills, and after all of these skills, practical, theoretical, be able to communicate, be able to like put in your soft skills and make sure that you shine
Mhm.
at whatever you do. So soft skills is very important, right? As much as your
What is your
practical.
favorite
Yeah.
soft skill slash human soft skill?
I think it's effective
Mhm.
communication because without communication, I don't think there'll be anything like a workplace, right? Without communication, if you're either working solo, because if you're working solo, you're not communicating with anybody, right? Yeah, you're only communicating with yourself, right? So communication, that is what I think that's the glue that
Mm.
puts everybody together and being able to effectively because there's difference between communication and effective communication, in my own opinion, because you can be communicating and then you're not
Anything.
talking about anything. There's nothing to exactly. So you have to be able to like know how to communicate and make sure that the other person can
Mm.
understand whatever it is you're saying. So communication is one skill that everybody should
Okay.
have actually.
We're gonna go into content creators, tech providers, and yeah. content creators, tech providers, and maybe tech influencers as well. Like, what is your? Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions on there, like right or wrong. But what is your take on having content creators promoting a tech skill, maybe like web development, and telling them that they will get a job straight away, or like learn, or tech providers telling people to come and learn for 5 million or 500K, and then there's like what is the next point, and then that person ends up becoming stagnant in their life, so that there's practically no movement. But what is your personal take, your own personal take on content creators and tech providers maybe scamming people?
Those are like, wow, okay. Those are like two different people, and I personally have a beef with tech
Mm,
content creators or tech
yeah.
influencers that make make it look like the tech space is really, really
Mm,
shiny. Of course, it is shiny, right? But after putting in the work, right? And the personal beef I have with them is, especially when I come across some ads, as much as I really understand that you're really trying to promote this
yeah.
platform or this brand for people to learn a tech skill, I think there's a place of being
Mm,
sincere and there's a place guiding people right, right. So telling me to learn a tech skill or telling me, the problem I have sometimes is telling me I'll learn a tech skill and I'll get a job immediately after. Number two is telling me I can learn any tech skill, or telling me some tech skills are easy, very easy, I don't need to do much work. Why some tech skill I shouldn't go into it because I have a
mm.
lot of work to do. Those are the problems I have with these people, because one thing, like I said earlier, one thing is even to go to the gym in the morning,
Not the
it's
gym.
not. Want to take a walk, not even the morning, it's not easy. So when you tell me some kind of tech skill are very easy, I don't have much to do and all of that, I think the picture you're painting for a lot of people is like, oh, let me just jump into this tech space. It's easy, because a lot of people just come into that space and think, oh,
Definitely.
this thing is easy. I'm not doing much work. They get there and they feel like, oh, this is not easy. Oh. Then they run, right? They run back, and probably some of them have like dropped some money and all of that. They are not probably mentally ready for what it actually looks like. I think these are the problems on tech content creators. Especially tech influencers, right? I don't know the difference
Mm,
between those two actually, but those are the problems of these people are creating, right? Misleading people, and it's very wrong. Hopefully, that is going to change, or that will change, whatever it is. But I still think it boils down to personal self, right? Think about it. Is there anything
no.
that is easy to do? No. Probably the only thing that is easy to do is to breathe in here and breathe out carbon CO2.
Mm,
I don't think anything to do in this life, right? So that's that on the end of
mm,
these influencers, right? As much as you're trying to help a brand get people or get users, I think there's a place of being sincere and leading people the right way. Just tell them, let them know, because at the end of
yeah.
the day, they are going to know. So what's the hide? I mean, there's nothing to hide. It's very clear. I know you want to generate money, and I know you need the money, but stop hiding
Mm,
what is very clear, right? Just because this not know, and then they end up finding out later. So that's that. Now, for people that pay a lot of money to tech educators to teach them tech skill, I don't have a problem with those people. Sincerely, I do not have any personal beef with them. Um, Probably because I've not been
okay.
in that situation, right? I don't see any reason to have personal beef with them. But my point is, if someone is going to pay that amount of money to learn, so let's say 500K, right, to come and learn, I think we should be
Mm,
getting the best, in my opinion. The best should be getting the best. Now, the best might not be, oh, I'll get a job afterwards immediately. Whatever it is, the contract you enter between the tech educator and you is none of anybody's business. But my point here is, you should be able to say, this place really helped me get better. This place really provided the skills that I
mm,
needed. I learned a lot and better at this particular skill I'm getting into. Now, the problem is a lot of people that I know, that learn from this kind of places, they don't feel they are getting better in some instances, right? They don't feel like they are getting the worth of their money, right? So in a case whereby you're going to learn and you pay that kind of money, and they are not giving you their all, right? Just because probably I don't know, but there's just a lot of problem with those people. But at the end of the day, I think it's very important to be able to say I made an investment and it was really worth it. Now, if you make an investment and it was not worth it, that's the problem I have with those people. But like, I have a
Yeah.
personal beef with them. I don't just. I mean, you go to school for 4 years and you spend more than that, right? So if you're learning a skill for that amount of money, it's okay. But at the same time, you should be able to get an investment on your money. That's my take. If not, then you
Mm.
just wasted your time, wasted your money.
And every other thing, and nothing happens at the end. At the end of the day, we just go back into life, continue basically. So if you're learning a tech skill, if you're getting influenced by a tech content creator or an influencer, the most important thing is for you to do your own research, have your own understanding about who you are personally, and also compare. Like, there are a lot of like tech providers out there, like you see all UTVR, ALT, even Asia School, like look at them, like create a skill for yourself. What do I want? What do I not want? And if UTVR fits into what you want, then you go with UTVR. If they don't, then you go with another option. And just do your research and the type of skills and how the curriculum is, how you can advance. It's not about who can get me a job fast in tech after learning for 3 months or after learning for a year. Because at the end of the day, when you go to school, you still have to go apply for the job yourself and find the job with what you've learned in university to get a job. Your degree is what is going to get you a job. And you have to look at your tech certificate as, if I learn this and I get a certificate, it is up to me now to go look for the job that I want, not for the tech providers to give me a job. So I believe there's a lot of misconceptions that we still have a long way into solving from tech providers or tech influencers and content creators. And I think it's going to get to a place where we have to work together as one to be able to drive development and advancement for individuals that want to thrive in tech. Even though I do have my last question for you, this is kind of random, but if you had a quote, what would it say?
Hmm.
Life is
Life is life.
life. Life is life. Oh, why? Why is life is life? Life is life?
Life is life because life does not promise you happiness,
Mm,
doesn't promise you sadness, right? Life happens because it's life, right? So every other thing you choose to, or every position you choose to be in, is because you're making your personal choice. So if you're happy,
mm.
it's because you choose to be happy, right? Life can be sad, or life can throw sadness at you, but it now takes you, taking that step of, oh, I want to be a happy person. So life is life. Life does not promise you anything, right? So it's all dependent on you. Just like you, by we say, like, your life is in your hands, right? So life is life. I think that's my quote for some years now. 'Cause, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, maybe, but my life is truly life. It doesn't promise you anything.
I talk about the things you and your friends don't want to talk about. What is tech? Let's talk. Your classmates will judge you. I know and I hear you. Your boss will fire you. Give me the full gist. Your work, your school, your career. Isha podcast, not for the weak. Let's get it.